Hi, it's Lisa with Paper Pastiche here with our 9th day in our 12 Days of Christmas card series. And today I have this lovely card here for you, kind of more of an elegant style, still a little vintagey. And I made it using the Anna Griffin papers and die cuts. This is the paper pack that I used. I think I got this actually last year, but it's double-sided, kind of silvers on one side and golds on the other side. And this is the die that I used. I don't know if it has an actual name, but they came together and I don't have the packaging for it. Another thing that I also used was the third largest in the Spellbinders die things. Let's see, what's this one is called? Labels 21. Here it is down here. Labels 21. Okay. And stamp sets, I am using the Bells and Bows. This is a Stampin' Up! Set. Again, I don't know if this is still around or not. And this is definitely old Hampton Art set, the flip set here. And I'm used to using the Merry Christmas sentiment from that. You'll also be needing some Versamark, some gold embossing powder. I'll also be using the Tim Holtz Distress Inks in Vintage Photo. You'll need some, I have 4 Stampin' Right markers here I'm using. Let's see, the colors are Real Red, Cherry Cobbler, Old Olive, and Garden Green. And you'll also need some double-sided adhesive, maybe some scissors, bone folder, some wet glue, and paper-wise, you are going to need a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock. You will also need a 5.5 by 4.25 piece to cut out your die. The die fits like, you can get 2 out of each side here. And then you're going to need a pattern piece at 4 by 5.25. I'm using this gold side. A red piece to cut out your Spellbinders die. And a 1 by 4.25 inch strip. I've got a smaller kind of glittery paper here. And then a 5/8 by 3 inch strip for your sentiment. I've already embossed it there. And so the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to color your image. There is no really rhyme or reason to doing this. I have the 2 reds so you can do 2 tones and the greens to do 2 tones, but you can also use 1 marker and just color darker. So I'm just going to start coloring this in here. I'm not going to be really all that particularly neat. We'll be cutting a lot of this out, and you just want to color over. You're going to be a little closer, careful around your edges here, because it's ideal to leave a little bit of paper showing. The paper color that I'm using here is cream. It's a Recollections paper. So I'm maybe not being as neat as I might normally if I were just doing this on my own. But again, it's not the end of the world if it is a little messy, because you can always go back and trim it off. So I'm just kind of filling this in, just kind of scribbling right over it. Here we go. And then usually what I do in the center is I just kind of color a little bit darker area, and that kind of gives it a two-tone effect. So I know I'm skipping this other leaf over here, but that's okay. So then, and actually on this one is not really the best one, because you might see that the embossed image on this side here is a little blurrier, and I kind of overheated it. So you want your image to be a little crisper and be more like this side. Okay, so what I do with these is I kind of just do one streak towards the middle of it. And then I go back in with my old olive and just kind of color it in really quickly. What we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of paper towel or tissue paper or something and wipe off the excess. So this is kind of like a resist technique. Okay. All right, so we have that there. And I have my piece of paper towel here. I'm not going to rub it all over because that will smear it onto my white cardstock. But I'm just going to kind of rub in the middle here of these red areas first. And then I'm going to move to a clean section and go over those. And there's still a little bit of smudging, but you know, that's okay. A little bit's okay. So then you want to take your scissors and cut that out. I have one already cut out here, and this is generally what it will look like. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is score our paper at 4 1/4. Fold it in half, burnish it, and then we're going to take our Distress ink and ink the edges. Okay, and then I'm going to take our 4 by 5 1/4 piece and ink those edges. And while I'm inking away here, I'm going to take my labels, die cut, and ink it. This piece of paper did not come from the Anna Griffith pack. It actually just came, it was a piece of scrap that I had. And I thought it coordinated nicely with it, so I just wanted to use this up. So the next piece we have is kind of like our band. You could use ribbon in the place of this. I didn't have a ribbon I was really happy with. It's like, how can you have, you know, I don't know, 60 or 70 rolls of ribbon and not have one you like for it? But, yeah, there you go. So a strip of paper works just fine. We have our cutout here, which I have already done. I find that it goes through my Cuttlebug better in this orientation than it does going this way, and the flatter your plates are, the better it is to use to be able to get all these areas cut clearly. Okay, and we also have our sentiment here, which we're going to ink and you know, notch out the corners with your scissors. Okay. And I'm going to show you how to curl it like I did. You just, like you do curling ribbon, you curl it that way, you flip it over, curl it that way, and there you've got a like banner looking style one. Okay. All right, let's start putting this together. So I've got my double-sided ATG adhesive here. And put that on like so. Actually, my card orientation goes this way, doesn't it? That's okay. Okay, so the next thing I am going to put on is this cutout here. Now, I trimmed these edges right here. They didn't quite fit on my paper, and to fit it on my card, they were just a tiny bit long. So I just rounded those off a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to go and put some glue on here. It's going to have other things over it to kind of hold the center area. But just going to kind of get some general coverage. You don't have to have every little thing covered. Let's get some over on this side. Okay, and let's stick it down. Get it on there as straight as we can. Oops. Okay, and there we are. And the card out here. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is put down this strip here. Grab some double-sided adhesive. And stick that down. That is not centered. Okay, we're going to go with that. And then the next thing we'll do is put our labels die down. I'm just putting some adhesive here in the middle so that it's kind of just going on where this band is here, and then it will kind of stick up some there. So I never did get that band here in exactly the right place, so it's not quite as even here and here. But that will work. Okay. And then I have some pop dots here, or some Stampin' Dimensionals. I will center that in there. And I like it centered, these two in this bubble space, even though this side hangs off a little bit and this side doesn't. So your Merry Christmas, you will want some Stampin' Dimensionals again. And on this part here that's going to be raised up, but when you turn it over, it's the concave side. We're going to put two Stampin' Dimensionals stacked on top of each other. So take the adhesive off the first one, and then adhesive off the second one. And then this raised part here, which will be the dipped part when it's turned over, put a dab of glue. And I'm just going to kind of tuck it up under there a little bit. And there's day 9 in your 12 Days of Christmas Cards series. This is Lisa. Thank you for joining me. Bye-bye.